Hello students, let us do today the fourth unit of this topic solutions, which is known as colligative properties of solutions. From exam point of view and concept point of view, this is going to be a little difficult but most important unit. Let us begin with the definition of first what is meant by colligative properties. Colligative property is that property of a solution which depends upon the number of particles of the solute in the solution and not on the chemical nature of the solute added. There are going to be totally four examples of colligative properties. First, most important one, relative lowering of vapor pressure. Second is called elevation in boiling point. Third, depression in freezing point. And fourth, osmotic pressure. I repeat the definition of colligative property again. It is a property of a solution. The value will depend upon number of particles in the solution and not on the chemical nature of the added solute. We will now study in detail each and every colligative property, and with every property meaning will be more and more clear to you. Let us begin with the first colligative property explanation. This term colligative was coined by a very famous physics scientist, Wilhelm Oswald. Let us consider an example of a colligative property which is very easy to understand. The property I am considering here is elevation in boiling point. As we know, boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Suppose we add 6 gram of urea in 100 ml of water. Molecular weight of urea is 60 gram. So 6 gram becomes 0.1 mole. So basically I am adding 0.1 mole of urea in 100 ml. Due to this addition of solute, boiling point now rises from 100 degrees Celsius to 101 degrees Celsius. Here the elevation is found to be 1 degree Celsius. Imagine experiment number 2. Now I add 0.2 mole of urea. Now boiling point of this solution is found to be 102 degrees Celsius. Elevation has become 2 degrees Celsius. We can clearly see that 6 gram urea, if contains X number of particles, 12 gram urea will contain definitely double the number of particles. So as number of particles are increasing, elevation in boiling point is increasing. Once again I repeat the sentence. Number of moles increases, number of solute particles will increase, hence colligative property also will change. Suppose I carry out this experiment with 0.1 mole of sucrose. Still, boiling point will elevate by 1 degree Celsius. If I carry out this with 0.2 mole of sucrose, it will elevate by 2 degrees Celsius. That means colligative property do not depend upon chemical nature of the substance but on the number of particles only. We will consider now colligative properties one by one, and the very first one is relative lowering of vapor pressure. Suppose we take a non-volatile solvent, say water. We add a non-volatile solute in it, let us say sugar. It is found that vapor pressure of the solvent decreases. If you recollect, in the last lecture we had seen that vapor pressure is same as escaping tendency. That means when a solute is added, escaping tendency decreases. This is called lowering of vapor pressure. Symbolically, if I take vapor pressure of pure solvent as P0 and vapor pressure of solution as P, then lowering of vapor pressure is given as P0 minus P, the difference. We can understand it with a simple diagram. Imagine in a vessel, pure solvent is kept and there are vapor molecules escaping. Now suppose I add 1 mole of solute in it. We can see from the diagram the green colored circles are solute molecules and they are having a force of attraction with the solvent. That is why now escaping has reduced. Vapor pressure has reduced. This is called lowering of vapor pressure. We relate this with a colligative property, relative lowering of vapor pressure. Mathematically we will define it, but let us give it in statement. Ratio of lowering of vapor pressure of pure solvent to the vapor pressure of pure solvent. Mathematically, if suppose I take P0 as vapor pressure of pure solvent, P as the vapor pressure of solution, then relative lowering of vapor pressure is given as P0 minus P upon P0. If you see this equation very simply, the numerator is lowering, denominator is the original value. A very important point to note is lowering of vapor pressure is not a colligative property, but relative lowering of vapor pressure is a colligative property. Raoult has studied this relative lowering of vapor pressure and he has derived several equations. We will take a list of few simple equations. First, relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to the mole fraction of solute. I repeat the terms given in the previous lecture. Number 1 is used for solvent, number 2 is used for solute. So X2 stands for the mole fraction of solute. Substituting the value of mole fraction, we can derive another equation. P0 minus P upon P0 equal to W2 into M1 upon M2 into W1. Once again, W2 is the mass of solute, W1 is the mass of solvent, M2 is the molar mass of solute, M1 is the molar mass of solvent. You have numerical problems on both these equations. How to measure relative lowering of vapor pressure practically? There is a very famous method available called Ostwald-Walker method. The process can be described in this way. First of all, pure and dry air is generated through a device. It is passed first through bulbs containing solution and then it is passed through bulbs containing solvent. Later, in stage number 3, it is passed through U-shaped tubes containing anhydrous calcium chloride. So let us think about it once again. Pure and dry air passed through 3 stages. Number 1 through solution, number 2 through solvent, number 3 through anhydrous calcium chloride. Imagine when the air is getting passed above the solution level, there will be free vapor. The dry air will absorb that vapor and go ahead. Further, when it goes to the second bulb containing the solvent, it will absorb more vapors from the solvent container and all the vapors are finally passed to the calcium chloride tube. So once again, imagine there is a loss in the weight of the solvent bulb, loss in the weight of the solution bulb, and both these losses will be equal to the gain in the calcium chloride tube. Ostwald and Walker had made a kind of arrangement like this. In the diagram you can see left hand side, the air is getting passed through solution contained in 3 containers. Then there are 3 bulbs containing solvent, and finally it is passing through calcium chloride tube. Observe a very interesting thing in the diagram. At the extreme right, you can see dry air is coming out. That means whatever water vapor moisture has been picked up is completely transferred to calcium chloride tubes. This method was discovered by Oswald and Walker. Mathematically, they derived some equation. First, loss in the weight of solution bulb is proportional to vapor pressure of the solution. Naturally, solution has its own vapor pressure and the loss will be related to it. The second is solvent bulb. So loss in the weight of solvent bulb is given by vapor pressure of solvent minus vapor pressure of solution. Finally, the equation is loss in the weight of solvent bulb divided by total loss in the weight of solution. This simple experiment gives us relative lowering of vapor pressure. Let us now begin with the second colligative property, elevation in boiling point. Before we go for boiling point, let us think what was boiling point itself. The definition is quite simple. Don't write school level definition here. The temperature at which liquid boils is called boiling point. That's not the definition. The boiling point of a liquid is the temperature at which vapor pressure of the liquid becomes equal to the atmospheric pressure. This atmospheric pressure at sea level is taken as 1 atmosphere or 760 millimeter of mercury. Let us understand the definition again with a graph. On x-axis we can see temperature is rising. Y-axis we are measuring vapor pressure in millimeter of mercury. You can see the liquid is started heating, and as temperature passes through 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 degree, vapor pressure becomes equal to 760 millimeter. We call 100 degrees Celsius as boiling point of water. So once again look at the definition. Boiling point of a liquid is the temperature, say 100 degree here in the graph, at which vapor pressure becomes equal to how much? 760 millimeter, that means atmospheric pressure. If I am carrying out this experiment at a higher altitude, instead of 760 millimeter, there will be some other value of atmospheric pressure. Considering boiling point, now let us go for elevation in boiling point. We had seen this in the very beginning of the slides. When a non-volatile solute is added to a solvent, vapor pressure will decrease. And if vapor pressure is decreasing, boiling point increases. This difference in the boiling point of a solution and pure solvent at a constant pressure is called boiling point elevation. Mathematically, it can be given as delta TB is equal to T minus T0. You can imagine perhaps the symbols. T is boiling point of solution. T0 is boiling point of pure solvent. Now, I have seen few people get confused in this formula. It's very easy to remember that higher value will be taken first, subtracted with the second value which is smaller. Since solution has higher boiling point, it is T minus T0. Graphically, we can see this with a graph here where temperature is on x-axis, vapor pressure is on y-axis. Watch the graph very carefully. This usually comes in exams to draw. First watch the blue line, this solvent graph. The graph is to be read from left to right. You can see solvent value increases as temperature increases. It reaches 1 atmosphere and the value below is mentioned as T0. Now imagine you make a solution. There is a purple graph there. And this solution will have lower vapor pressure. That is why The line is below solvent line, but it runs parallel. It goes, and when it reaches 1 atmosphere, the value is T, boiling point of solution. Difference of two values is going to be elevation in boiling point. Let us see some mathematical expressions for elevation in boiling point, which we will be using in solving numerical problems. First, what we saw, I am repeating again, delta TB is equal to T minus T0. Practically, it is found that this delta TB is proportional to molality of the solution. Converting it into an equation form, you get delta TB equal to Kb into m. This term Kb has a lot of names. It's called boiling point constant. It's called molar elevation constant. It's also called ebullioscopic constant. This equation, when you substitute value of molality, we get another equation, delta TB equal to Kb into W2 upon M2 into W1. I've just simply substituted formula of molality. Cross multiplying and making M2 as the subject of equation, we get equation number 5. Still, we recap the terms again. W2 is the mass of solute, M2 is the molar mass of solute, W1 is the mass of solvent. We have completed here the second colligative property, elevation in boiling point. Let us go for the third property, which is going to be absolutely identical with the second one. Name is depression in freezing point. First, we will learn what is freezing point. The temperature at which vapor pressure of a solid becomes equal to the vapor pressure of a liquid. Let us understand it with a little complex graph here. This graph is to be read from right to left. You can see water, the graph of water, has certain high vapor pressure. As we cool down at certain temperature, say 273 Kelvin, the graph changes the angle and it becomes ice. If you see another graph which is of water and ethanol, it is parallel but at a lower stage, that is the depression. But we will see the depression once again. Let us define depression in freezing point. When a non-volatile solute is added to a solvent, vapor pressure decreases, freezing point decreases. This difference in the freezing point of pure solvent and a solution is called freezing point depression. Mathematically, it is given as delta Tf is equal to T0 minus T. Now you can imagine out of 2 which is going to be a higher value. T0, the solvent value is going to be higher, solution value is going to be smaller. That is why T0 minus T is written. Graphically, when you see the graph, liquid solvent graph from right to left, it touches the axis at Tf0. Solution has a freezing point Tf. Difference in these two values is called delta Tf. Mathematically, the expressions are absolutely identical with the previous set. Only instead of B of boiling, now we have F of freezing. The term Kf constant is called freezing point constant, also known as molar depression constant, also called cryoscopic constant. Also, the terms related to molality are also quite similar. We can quickly watch them as we had done earlier terms. We go for the fourth and the last colligative property called osmosis. Before we learn osmosis, let us learn something about membranes. What are membranes? When you have two solutions and they have different concentrations. Between these two concentrated solutions, we can keep a thin partition. Through this thin partition, either a solvent or solute particles can travel from one compartment to the other. This thin partition is called a membrane. There are two membranes. First type is called permeable membrane. It allows. What does it allow? It allows free transfer of solute. Important thing is these free transfers of solute happen from higher concentration to the lower concentration. This process is termed as diffusion. The second type is called semi-permeable membrane. Here you can see an opposite point. The transfer is happening of solvent molecules, that too from lower concentration to higher concentration. This process is termed as osmosis. Let us now define osmosis. This osmosis is basically a natural or a spontaneous process. Osmosis happens only in one direction, so it's called unidirectional. What is the flow? The flow is of solvent molecules from solvent compartment to solution compartment, or from less concentrated solution to more concentrated solution. If you understand the previous information, solvent can pass only through semi-permeable membrane. That means for osmosis, we need semi-permeable membrane only. Let us understand definition which has 3 to 4 points in it. First, it is a spontaneous process. It is a unidirectional flow. The flow happens of solvent molecules, and the flow happens from solvent to solution or dilute to concentrated. Important thing is osmosis takes place through only semi-permeable membrane. Let us see a very simple animation here. You can see on the left compartment there is low sugar concentration or high water concentration. On right hand side we have taken high sugar concentration. So in terms of sugar, it is dilute solution on the left hand side, right hand side it is concentrated. The blue circles you can see are of water, and they are traveling from left compartment to right or dilute to concentrated. We can also see as the flow happens, left hand side compartment meniscus goes down, right hand side increases. This process is termed as osmosis. Osmosis was discovered by a French scientist called Abbe Nollet. In 1748, he discovered osmosis using pig's bladder as semi-permeable membrane. In Abbe Nollet's experiment, he had taken sugar solution and water as a solvent. Let us see the arrangement what Abbe Nollet had done. Look at the left hand side diagram. In a beaker containing water, and there is a thistle funnel in which there is sugar solution kept, and there is a pig's bladder tied at the end. Now we can understand how the solution must have traveled or how solvent must have traveled. You can see the movement of the solvent from lower concentration to higher concentration. That means from beaker to the thistle funnel, and you can see in the diagram the solution level in thistle funnel rises. Also you can see the dark looking solution is now looking very pale. That means water has increased in it. Now we come to the colligative property, osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure is that pressure which is applied to the solution side just to prevent the passage of pure solvent into the solution through semi-permeable membrane. Osmotic pressure has a symbol pi. Let us understand this through a diagram. You can see there are two compartments connected through a semi-permeable membrane. Left hand side there is low concentrated solution, right hand side compartment there is high concentration. Think for a while from where the solution will move. solvent will move from left hand side compartment to the right hand side. Imagine the moment solvent starts moving from left compartment to the right, we apply pressure on the right hand side. You can see there is a piston kept over there, and pi is the pressure which is pressurized. If this mechanical pressure is given, then solvent cannot come from one compartment to the other. This pressure is applied on the solution side to prevent passage of pure solvent. This is called osmotic pressure. The opposite process is reverse osmosis. You might have heard this, known as usually RO machines available in domestic level. Here in this case, how do we carry out reverse osmosis? Let us understand it with an arrangement and then we'll go back to the definition. In this diagram you can see there is salt water on the right hand side compartment, fresh water on the left hand side. So our solvent is on left, solution is on right. In center you can see semi-permeable membrane. Also a piston arrangement is kept on the right hand side. So what should happen stepwise? Number 1. First, fresh water will start coming from left compartment to the right. We gauge that there is a osmosis taking place. So we apply pressure through piston. What will happen if pressure is applied? Osmosis will stop. But we will not wait over there. We will keep on applying so much high pressure that solvent from the salt water compartment start coming into the left hand side compartment. Since movement of solvent is happening in the opposite direction, the process is called reverse osmosis. This process is basically used as desalination of seawater. The process is called reverse osmosis or RO. Depending upon the solution's osmotic pressure values, there are different type of solutions possible. The first type is, imagine there are two solutions given to us and both the solutions have equal osmotic pressure. This is condition number 1. Case number 2 is the two solutions might have different osmotic pressure. So we can have only two possibilities. Either two solutions have equal osmotic pressure or two solutions have different osmotic pressure. Suppose now if solutions have equal osmotic pressure, they are known as isotonic solutions. If solutions have different osmotic pressure, the one with lesser osmotic pressure is called hypotonic solution and the one with higher osmotic pressure is called hypertonic solution. So once again we have three types of solutions: isotonic, hypotonic, hypertonic. Finally, let us go for mathematical expressions for osmotic pressure. Practically, it is found by different scientists that osmotic pressure is proportional to temperature. Osmotic pressure is even proportional to concentration. Combining these two equations, we can see pi is proportional to concentration into temperature. Introducing a proportionality constant, we can see pi is equal to Cr into T, where R is called gas constant. But what is the meaning of concentration? It is number of moles upon volume, where number of moles is mass of solute upon molar mass into volume. Substituting this in the above equation, we can get M2 molecular mass of solute is equal to weight of solute W2 R into T upon pi into V.